Welcome back, everybody. This is the weekly live on Breathe Within Yoga. I'm Mike. Julianne is here with me, and this week has a very specific shape to it that you're going to want to hear. We've got the weekly overview, an oracle pull for the week, this week's survival tool from the 8 limbs of yoga. Feedback, love that. Okay. This week's survival tool from the 8 limbs of yoga, your day by day guidance, and a closing pull at the end. Let's go. You have no audio. I can't hear you.
Okay, well, I have no audio, so let's try this again. So we picked the stargazing. That was the oracle card for the week that you didn't hear, because why would I have anything work right off the bat? So pulling the week card. This is the opening of the week. It's the energetic tone, the forecast for the week, and it is the stargazing. When you gaze at the stars, you give yourself fairy focus. Your intuition will flow more freely and reveal what you need to know about your situation. So the clarity is beginning of the week, the overall message are let our intuition flow, and that will reveal what we need to do about the situations that we come across for today. So that is it seems kind of quite appropriate for where we're starting. So I guess, do you have any thoughts on that card, Mike?
I love the cards. So whether or not I have an interpretation of the cards, that's your specialty. I just love seeing the colors and hearing your interpretation of what they mean.
Well, my first reaction to the card, my personal one, is it does seem appropriate, right? Because it's all about following the intuition. This is all about, letting that your gut instinct follow what you need to hear for the week. Oh, hello, Lois. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let's get into the energetic check-in for this week. So I'm going to bring up my next screen. So we're doing it a little different. As you might have noticed, we're trying a newer layout. So if you have joined me before, it's a little bit different. We're still going to go through each of the days, but let's overview what the week looks like. So we know we've got the message of stargazing and focusing on our intuition. That's going to be kind of the background message from the guides. But what we've got going on this week, bring this up here. Okay, so this week we have a very specific shape as we go into it. So we're opening with the number 9, numerology 9, and then it turns to 1 on May 1st. So 9 is the completion. So it's like the full moon cycle closes here. So we're now outside of the full moon and all of that energy, which was a really intense energy from last week. Any thoughts on how that hit you, Mike, the energy from the full moon?
Oh, energy's been really heavy all week. All week. Like, it's just not even funny how it's been. I think, as I said, Monday to Wednesday, I've still got people ghosting me on conversations, and I can just send them a new text message, a new email, and it's silence. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, the intention is today with the numerology, that completion of the full moon in that weird phase is ending, and as of tomorrow, as we move into May 4th, May 4th be with you, May the 4th be with you, we're in a brand new cycle. So let's put out the intention that that will break the ghosting loop you've been in, and it'll really feel like the first breath of something genuinely fresh and new. So I feel like we're ready for something like that. So we also have like, so today again, 9 turning to 1 in the same week is a threshold crossing. So it's not just a change, it is going from the ending into something new. So I guess do you guys feel like for yourself, and I'm putting it out there for everybody else, is there something, does it feel like something's completing or something new is beginning? What about yourself, Mike? Do you have a feeling on either of those?
Well, there's new stuff beginning all the time in our lives because there's projects come in, and then it's energy. It's like watching your energy because there's certain things you want progress on that you don't feel like you're getting progress on for myself or my students or my custom clients. And it's like, why aren't we making any progress on this? Why is this person not getting back to me? And it's like, okay, I can't get frustrated over it. I internally feel like I want to get frustrated. And then I'm like, I can't get frustrated because I don't want to say the wrong thing to somebody, or maybe they're going through something in their life and they just don't have even the words to communicate back with me. So I just gotta, wait for the full moon energy to pass.
Oh, well, and it might be good because I'm just gonna say as a side note, as we're looking, it doesn't look, well, it doesn't look like the comments are going to Rumble. So I don't know if it's actually where Rumble where
I don't know because I'm just checking it. I was just making sure what I was gonna paste into the chat. You look like you did that. You beat me to it because so I was like, okay, let me go check on Rumble and Substack because we're not
well, and
sure.
that includes the tech issue, which has been highlighted as well. We're definitely going through technical issues, which again, because we're at the ending, um, of that cycle, let's hope that like as we go into Monday that we're like done this era of tech issues, which I don't think we're ever done tech issues till we no longer are using tech, right? So interesting. We also have, so if we continue with the highlights of the week, so we really are, the full moon cycle is closing. So today's kind of the ending of that. If you felt that energy, we're going into new and fresh. So if you're feeling like there's things stagnant that have been difficult to get through, that's the intention with this energy, with the numerology. Now, where we show up again is on the 7th of May, we're getting into that universal 22 number numerology that I've talked about. And that's that master build energy. So we're getting it again this week. So that with the new moon that we had April 17th, then we had another master builder on the 26th, which was the week in Leo, and then another big transition going into the Uranus and Gemini cycle. So now we have May 7th, which is new universal day 22 under the Capricorn moon. So it's interesting that each of these 22, so these master builder numbers and numerology, land on days that it really wants to amplify the energy. So it's interesting because it's not at, it's amplifies what it is asking. So we keep getting this numerology that just is aligned on these very powerful days. So the combination is worth paying attention to, that we've now had these number 22 builder days on very energetic, powerful days. And the 22 alone is worth paying attention to because it does align with those type of energies. And so it's just landing in different parts of our alignment, right? So we're still getting that 22. It's just landing on a different spot each time, and it's really highlighting it, right? So when it landed on the 17th of April on that Friday, that was really the energy of the bold declaration, and that closed that week and was adding, like, planting the seeds. When we had the Master Builder 22 on April 26th, which was the Sunday, it was Leo saying, be seen, commit publicly. So that was that same energy. So now on the 7th, which is, what day is the 7th? Monday is the 4th, 5th, 6th. So like Thursday, is that what day that is? The 7th? Thursday is midweek inside of Capricorn, and that's now showing us what's inside our structure. What the building what is building and what is actually happening. So it's just interesting on how this numerology has been working. So each appearance is the same question, but we're asking it at a deeper level. So it was like the 17th, the 26th, and now we're May 7th. So we're literally just going deeper into asking um that same question and diving deeper into what that means for us. I guess what do you think 22 has been asking you specifically, Mike? Have you felt this in your life? Do you see something like that kind of amping up?
Oh yeah. So I'm asked all the time, why doesn't this work? 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 And my answer is it's energy. And if it's not gonna work, we just gotta move on with the move on, roll on without it, and realign and check in a week if it's gonna work, because it's I don't always have the good answers to satisfy people's questions.
That's true.
Right? Because I'm like looking and I'm like, why is Rumble and Substack just stopped working like the last 2 weeks? And we want to use those and support and leverage those networks. And it's like, wait a minute, it was so easy with Restream before, and now it just like they've updated stuff on it. I'm like, okay, all right, I just have to continuously fix it, and then it works for whatever. I have to move the energy past that. So I
Well, it
don't
is
know.
interesting because that you bring that up because the way we were connecting when we were restreaming with Rumble and Substack was a different way, and then they stopped working on the last live, and then we were showing some students this process, and Rumble now shows up as its own, like, a different way where we had to do, like, a back end encoded way to hook up. Now it looks like it's got an easier front end, but now we're testing it out to see if it even works,
Oh, it
right?
doesn't work.
So, I guess it's building those layers in that level too, like, what's interesting, and this is something that I'm finding is a huge trend, is what you think you know and what is set up and how it's working, literally a few days later may be completely different. Like that is the reality we're in. And I can definitely see that with technology because now we've been doing our visibility engine with students. And I'll have said something early on in the first few weeks, which now things have changed on the back end. And that no longer even valid information based on what has changed in that technology. So we're in this weird time, I feel, where things are going faster. Our days go by so quick, especially being out here in Atlantic Canada. It's literally a wake up and it's already time for bed. Like it's so weird. Time is traveling so weird, and technology is advancing at a speed that I don't think we've ever seen in our entire lives. Like the fact that I can literally be talking about something, it works 1 week, and within a week, everything has changed on how that even speaks. It's not a one-off. It's happening so often that I find that weird.
Yeah, no. I time zones are weird, energy's weird, and I solve it. I have this burden because it's like I solve tech issues for people, or that's my claim to fame, and I feel like it it's what I've built my identity on over the last 20 years. And then it's like, okay, well, what about this? And what about this? And I'm like, listening to people, I'm like, you make things too complicated when you don't even have the basics working. So why are we even jumping to complications when the basics don't even work? Like, it's like
Well,
you're mentally
exactly,
setting
because
yourself up for failure.
yeah, and when we add the complexity of them, it doesn't even mean that complexity of that process will even exist by the time you're ready for it.
So you brought up the visibility edge, and that is why I'm like, the basics is make content.
Yes.
Titles, descriptions, all the other fancy stuff you want on it. You got to be able to make content first, right? And then not be stressed out when things don't go your live properly or upload, or like you went and I'm like, why can't I hear you? I'm like, do you have your microphone muted?
Yes, I did. I did have it. I thought I had unmuted myself, but I was just
No,
talking
but this is
to
why,
myself.
you're never gonna see results until you accept where you are, and then go figure out what the energy, because you've brought it up before, where it's just like some days the energy is going to be just tough based on your astrology, and even no matter how much effort you put in, there won't be a success. But then tomorrow you can take 2 seconds to look at it, you're like, oh, but I don't want to call myself dumb, but you're like, why was I struggling so many hours and so many frustrations with it yesterday? And today, with rested eyes and mental clarity, it's easy to solve. And you're like,
Or just the changes. The astrology opened up and is like, "We're just gonna let it flow," because we just had this imaginary
so that
block that you were just hitting because that was fun, and I feel like astrology mocks us sometimes. That's just my personal opinion. And I am gonna say, with the frustration of, showing up and things not working, I was texting my mom, and hello. Yes, I totally agree, Lois, that they're still processing from the full moon. So I get that. I do. But it's interesting because I'm not going to lie, this morning, showing up and seeing in the lives that there is a camera sitting in a Ricky's restaurant, just looking at their cooks making breakfast and had 2,100 people watching it live. And then I'm sitting here going, I want to help and heal and serve humanity and offer knowledge to assist people in making better choices and making it through the energies. And I'm lucky if I can keep an attention span of 5 people.
but you're not
Seems
cooking
really
in
weird.
Ricky's restaurant.
I know I should be working at Ricky's and be making you your eggs, and then everybody would want to watch that.
You know
Because,
what? You brought that up. I don't know if you heard, but um, there was like Mr. Beast, right? And he like has chocolate bars and he puts them in stores. And he was like, why are we getting so many like why is there such a quality control issue? And he's like, this is really bothering me that the stores are reporting broken chocolate bars and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, I have to go set up cameras. This Walmart's not gonna do nothing about it. Target's not gonna, he's like literally set up his own private cameras to go record the stores that reported all these quality control issues with the chocolate. He set up cameras to figure out that people were sabotaging him.
Well, you know what? That doesn't even surprise me. That doesn't, because we really have this reality where it is like when you offer something good and you're offering something that you care about, it's amazing how many people want to poop on your parade, want to destroy you, want to bring you down, want to ruin your reputation out of like jealousy, right? Like, and that is an underlying problem of where we're going to struggle evolving as a humanity when we do that against each other, right? Like, Mr. Beast isn't your enemy. He's not causing you problems. Why are you doing that to his products? Why are you trying to ruin his reputation? Did he do something personally to you? Probably not. You're just a dickwad. I don't even know what to say because we literally have a lot of growing as a society when people feel that way, that they destroy people's products, so he ends up having to investigate himself, going, why is it just these one off locations? What is happening? Or vice versa, that people have an attention span to watch brain rot, but God forbid you actually listen to something. But this is how they've got us, like instant, like the shorts, the clips, like God forbid you talk longer than 30 seconds. You've got no attention span after 30 seconds. We're lucky if we can keep people's attention spans for even 4 seconds anymore. Because I think that was what it was back in the 90s, was like a 4 second attention span. I don't even know if we can get a half a second attention span.
I think it's generational, right? Because we were born I have attention when I need to look, I so it's I agree. You're a creator, you're like, well, what's the payoff? Like, how many times do I have to do this to get an audience? But it's the same as like, running a business and promoting yourself. And people are like, all you do is promote yourself. And you're like, well, you think you're giving me that feedback on all I do is promote myself, yet my bank account shows something different. Because promotion
Well,
doesn't
exactly,
that's like
exactly.
going live doesn't mean you're gonna get views. Promoting your business doesn't mean you're gonna get business. And people are like, "Oh, well, that's all I see you hear you talk about, blah blah blah." And then I'm like, all I hear and see you talk about is you wasting your life and wasting your time and what, like. So it's just the energy, right? So pulling it back.
Pulling it back, pulling it back. So anyways,
You brought up
sitting
Ricky's
here
restaurant.
watching a live of somebody cooking with 2,100 people, think if that's worth your time. I'm just saying. Just watching somebody make eggs. How about you just go make your own eggs? You know, it's free. And then you don't even have to run your internet. You can just watch yourself making something productive in your own life. But on that rant, like, okay, so we are through the numerology, right? So we are now inside a structure of a deeper level of commitment. And I think that's also why it's bringing up a lot of these things of what they don't have value that we're still kind of stuck in as a society. But as we go through the week, so moving past the numerology, so we can get into some good stuff here, we've got the moon in Sagittarius this week. So meaning it rises from the last week's Scorpio depth. So if you're following me, the full moon was putting that spotlight on what needed to be changed and looked at. And now we're putting more meaning of what did that spotlight, what did the Scorpio moon really mean, right? Then we're also moving into Capricorn about middle of the week, which is structure, long game, grounding the news cycle into something different, something real, right? Because now we're being called to go into this new time because we're like the numerology. We've ended through the full moon and now it's this new beginning. We get into Aquarius by the end of the week, which is our collective vision, zooming out, seeing the bigger pattern. Maybe we're going to see this bigger pattern. Like, are we wasting time? What are what are we doing collectively? Right. And then as we go through the week, we're through the elements. We've got fire to earth to air, which is really declaring the meaning, the structure, and then seeing it clearly. So we're declaring what we want to do. We start to get that structure through the air and then through the earth, and then we see it more like a little more clearly by the end of the week as we get into that air element. And we're going to also feel that Gemini effect concretely now, because now we're going into so we jumped into that Uranus Gemini, which was, and then we went into the full moon. Now we're out of our first full moon in that, and this is going to be the first full week without a full moon, just in that Uranus Gemini. People are going to feel it more concretely now. Communication, expression, information all feel different. This is the energy to look for, is how do they feel different? How does it feel different communicating? How does it feel different with the information you're coming across? So that's going to be a trend we're going to see as well. Jupiter is now in Cancer. So we've got emotional support available for those willing to feel their way forward, not just think their way forward. So I'm not going to lie. If I'm thinking my way forward, I don't even want to show up. It's frustrating. It is frustrating to be like, literally, you got 2,100 people staring at people cook something, and, God forbid you offer anything and you're lucky to get any attention span, right? So the Jupiter in Cancer really highlights for myself feeling my way, that is there value that I'm still offering to people, and not looking at the surface numbers that I'm not having 2,100 people show up. I'm getting a few people, but that my impact will be bigger than the 2,100 people watching somebody cook something,
Because they're
right?
hungry.
I said they're hungry. Go make your own food. You know what?
It's like,
I won't watch cooking stuff. It's dangerous. When we did have cable and we watched Food Network, how much more junk food and how much more did we eat? Because you'd be watching one of those shows, and I remember loving watching the Iron Chef, and it being like them showing their Asian cuisines, because it was always like the original, like with the all the Chinese and Asian chefs in them. I loved it, but I would always be so hungry, and it didn't matter what I ate. It was never as satisfying as what I would watch them cook. Just saying, right? So, I guess that's the whole thing. If you're watching cooking porn, maybe you should go make something to eat. And then the last part of this week is the sun is still in Taurus, which is bringing slow down, feel it in your body. What is already here has value. So it's realigning and seeing what is here, what's still going forward, and that it's still like what is still holding value, because that was what Uranus in Taurus that we just left was highlighting what worth was about. And now with that Taurus is it's still here. We still got sun in Taurus, which is bringing that worth value, but now we're in Uranus and Gemini, and then it's that communication. So now we're really slowing down and seeing what has held value through all of that. So I guess, Mike, do you have any observations or any notes on that before we jump into the best way to get through this time?
um, You brought up the emotional support, and I acknowledge that. I don't feel like it is such a requirement for myself, but then I look at other people I'm dealing with, and I'm like, all right, this is you don't know how things affect people until you find that they're pulling away. Maybe that's why people are ghosting me. They're just in the that's what centers in the, I just I know it's been heavy, and now that the full moon's passing, and how many, like realistically, how many days does it take somebody to get over that full moon energy after it passes? Because there's the build up to it, and I know we had comments on one of my posts this week that I just posted our show. It was a Thursday show, right? Because it was the full moon eve, and people who don't comment on my stuff commented on it. And I was like, okay, they're aware of it, and they're obviously feeling they made a comment because they were discussing it with somebody else, which I thought was super interesting, right? So I was like, how when the full moons come, good question for you. When the full moons come, how many days before is it affecting people, and how many days after does it affect people? Or
Well, each person's gonna be different in your charts because each month can be totally different on the length and the how much it's gonna affect you based on what your charts are and then what alignment that full moon is showing up under, right? So if it shows up in Cancer and Cancer's strong in your and that's your sun, like for example, myself, I'm a Cancer and it shows up in Cancer, it's gonna be very different than you being a Sagittarius and it's showing up in Cancer because it's gonna highlight slightly different things. So but on average, it can easily be 2 to, like, 4 days before to 2 days to 4 days after. It can really be within that week before and after that full moon that we can feel the effects and have them start to show up in our own lives. And one thing I do recommend, and we'll talk about it again later on, is that my Awaken Life app, because that will help you understand how these specific alignments affect you. Like we're talking about collective and what we're going to see, but how it's really going to affect you in the time periods and how long is going to be different for each person. And like I said, where that moon hits in your astrology and what houses it highlights and how it's going to look will definitely be different for each person. Unfortunately, it's not one prescriptive thing for everybody, but we are going to do one prescriptive thing to help everybody. So we're laying out the format. We're going to go into the 2-day periods right away, but so as you might have noticed with this new format, we are going to pull a card, kind of review the week, the energy, and now we're going to bring in the yoga. So this is the base of what I've been doing for years, was always yoga. This is Breathe Within Yoga. I've got lots of yoga videos here. So now I'm working on implementing that these lives will be holistic, very much like my focus on working on the app. So we're going to bring some yoga into it, and we're going to use it as a way to pull our body into the astrology, into the charts, and use ways to assist us. So today, we're going to start going through some of the benefits of this alignment, and we're going to actually work on. I'm going to teach everybody a breath work today. Okay. So that's where we're going to go. And we're going to do a yogic breath work, which is in alignment with the energies for today. And let me explain a little bit on the background of how this works. So there is 8 limbs of yoga, and I've talked about this before. It's not just the physical movements. There's breath, there's meditation, there's chanting, there's all these other parts that make up yoga. Yoga is not just the physical movements. This is the first thing that is misunderstood very much in North America is yoga means you're doing stretches. That is the North American version, but that's missing out on 7 other parts of what actually is part of yoga. The idea with yoga is to become centered, bliss, and be able to be completely aligned and open to getting divine messages and your intuition, right? So there's all these methods to get there. Your physical body is just one of them. But we're going to look at today a survival tool to help us. And we're going to look at the 4th limb, the pranayama, which is the breath control, as I mentioned. So this is regulating life force through breath. So today we've had, or why this makes sense and why we're going to focus on breath today. We had Scorpio Full Moon last week, which Scorpio rules held breath and suppresses breath. So if you're feeling, especially now that you haven't been breathing as deeply, or it's just not, like you can't get enough air, that would be quite appropriate for that. The breath that moves emotion through your body instead of letting it sit. So breath work is really good to help move energy and get it moving, just like movement, which we can talk about. Like if you've ever done a yoga class or fitness class, or you're frustrated, you go on a treadmill or you go for a run and you can feel that energy move. We're using a different technique, using the breath to do that same idea. And if we're still carrying something from last week, it's not just in your mind, it's in your body, and that this is gonna help us get rid of that, which is probably what I needed today because I was like, "I need to get rid of that," so we're gonna work on that today. The reason, the energetic background of it, as Uranus settles in Gemini rules our lungs and our respiratory system. So this is something we're also implementing with our app, is that there is parts of your body that are more affected by certain transits. And especially now with the lungs and respiratory system, that's very highlighted with this Uranus in Gemini. Then our nervous system needs recalibrating. So that is what this breath is good. People are restless, have anxiety, maybe they're ghosting because they're stressed out about their own scenario, right? We don't really know where everybody's headspace is. So this is to help us recalibrate as well. And pranayama, the breath work, is a direct intervention, which is also with the numerology 9 to 1, making it perfect, right? So we're ending, opening up for the new beginning. And the number 9 numerology is about exhaling what is completed. And number 1 is inhaling the beginning. So as we go through it, I'm going to give you that target to visualize letting go of the endings on the exhale and inhaling beginnings as we do that. So we're going to go through this. But before we get into this, because I'm going to teach everybody this breath work today, make sure you're comfortable. You don't have to go anywhere. We're just going to be breathing, but make sure you're comfortable. And I want everybody to put one hand on their chest. So put one hand on your chest right now. And I want you can close your eyes if that helps. And take a moment to notice how you're breathing. So just let your breath come in and just kind of notice, like, does your chest expand a lot? Is it kind of shallow? We're just taking a couple breaths, and there's no right or wrong. We're taking that moment to become aware and notice how it's feeling at this point here. Now, now that you're noticing what it's like, find out if you done Rhonda. That's the alternate nostril breathing before. Do you remember, Mike, if you've tried it? Yeah, I was like, I think I hear you talking, but I can't hear you.
No, it's because I couldn't microphone. I don't know. I was making a comment. YouTube removed the comments, and I was like, "Why can't I leave a comment?" So, you know what? Breathwork is super important, and I remember always being told it, and then, which may not be the proper answer to your question, but I am answering breathwork question because everything I go to, no matter if it's trade show, conference, or whatever, there's always somebody bringing up the breath work. So there's so many people in my industry who've already incorporated that into their life because they know it's important. And I'm like, okay, I've got this experience because I've done. You're a yoga instructor. You've gone through a lot of different types of breath work and example. Some of this 4D breathwork thing. Where was that? Everywhere I go, there's always somebody asking me my astrology sign and doing breathwork exercises. It's interesting.
And it is. And well, one of the easiest ways to get ourselves centered is through the breath, right? We don't even have to physically go anywhere to even really move because we're already breathing. right? And we just take control of it. And it's actually extremely good. Breath work will help us activate certain energetic channels. So it's just a good practice anyways. So I'm going to teach everybody. We're going to do this. We're going to do 5 rounds of the alternate nostril breath. So what I want everybody to do, you're going to take, I like using my right hand. It's not right or wrong, but I'm going to say, we'll start with our right hand. This is my right. It's probably mirroring you. You're going to keep your pinky finger and your thumb available. Like, you're totally awesome, man. Totally rad. And then how this is going to work, we're going to breathe in through the left nostril while we use our thumb to cover our right. So thumb will cover the right. We're going to breathe in through the left side. We use our pinky finger. You can also use your ring finger if you want. Use your ring finger or your pinky finger. Then after the inhale, to plug the left. So both parts of the nostril are plugged. Your mouth is closed as well. And then we unplug the right side and let the exhale go through the right side. Then we breathe in through the right side, we plug it, we hold it, and then we exhale through the left. So that is the pattern I'm going to work you through. And then add that visualization. As you inhale, you're breathing in the new. As you're exhaling, you're letting go of that you don't need. And we're going to have those inhales and exhales a little bit longer and just take that moment in between for the transition. So let's get comfortable. Let's sit up tall. Let's get our positioning in place. We'll start by plugging the right nostril. Let's take that breath in through the left. Gently plug the nose. Unplug the right side. Let the breath go. Bottom of the breath. Let's bring that breath in. Plug that right side. We'll release the left. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Plug that left. Exhale through the right. That was one full round. We got 3 more to go. Let's inhale through that right. Gently plug it. Exhale through the left. Inhale, bringing in that new through the left side. Gently plug it. Exhale, unplugging the right. Letting go of what you need to let go of. Inhale, bringing in the new through the right. Plug it. Exhale through the left. Letting go of what we don't need. Inhale through the right, or left, sorry. Gently plug. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Gently plug. Exhale through the left. Inhale. Bringing in that new, gently plug that left side, and exhale, letting go of what we don't need on the right. Beautiful deep breath in through the right nostril. When you're ready, plug it. Gently release that left nostril. Let it go. Deep breath in through the left. Plug. Gently release on the right. We'll do one more round. Inhale deeply through that right nostril. Plug. Exhale, releasing through the left. Final deep breath through that left nostril. Plug it and release fully through the right. And release. Take a moment. You can close your eyes. Just sit with that. And just know we're taking this moment. Let's let the breath come back to its natural pace. Notice and check in. And with those eyes closed, which I always recommend to turn inwardly, let's put the hand back on the chest like we did at the beginning. And just notice, do you notice a difference in the pace of your breath? How are you internally feeling? Do you notice like anything has changed? Do you feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit less stressed? The point of that is that if you're feeling a little bit better, which is the intention, is that it should feel like you're crossing a threshold in your body. Your mind eventually is going to allow your body to release those thoughts because your body is now releasing that tension. So, Mike, any observations before we move into the week? Any thoughts on that breath work?
I'm typing them into the chat. I definitely, definitely. It just calms you, right? So I know this is why it's suggested to do breath work, because even our friend Dr. Hansen, who's a chiropractor, he's like, guess what? Breath work. You gotta do the breath work, because your body, whatever's going on, you're tight, your teeth are clenched, you're angry about something, you're stressed out, or something's not going to plan, and you just gotta release that buildup, because you got to move forward, right? So breathwork's super important, and I know why. I'm trying to remember who told me to do it the other day. It is like, why do you think I do? Do I sound stressed? They're like, I think we should do some breath work. I was like, who? Which Zoom call was like? Oh, it was recent, and I'm like, I've never really. I don't. It just threw me off, because I don't think I've ever had anybody in a Zoom call before, like a virtual cup of coffee, getting to know each other from this group or this group. I don't think anybody's ever introduced breath work with me. And I was like, okay, they're like, oh, do you find that weird? I'm like, no, I don't find it weird, because of, my wife's a yoga instructor. I've gone through all these things, and breath work's critical. And any, a chiropractor or any other medical practitioners are going to tell you to do the exact same thing, especially when you're, look stressed, or whatever, whatever you're asking for help to solve something. So I'm like, maybe I should incorporate that when I'm asking people. I can see you're stressed with your technology or your YouTube channel or whatever. Like, should we just start with breath work?
Well, it's interesting because we're already talking about, because we're also talking about, as you just made me think of, where I said we need to start running charts of our students to find out a little bit more of how we can help them better. And that's an actual part of what I'm implementing and we're building into the app is compatibility so we can help people as well. One thing I wanted to mention, because this is a perfect pro before we get into how each of the 2-day periods are looking, I did want to show you one thing that I do love about my app. Where is that? Here we go. Is with the app, and you go to your daily guidance. This is the daily guidance here. So you've got a whole bunch of things, got numerology, Western, when you scroll down, there is a part of your daily, which is practical alignment, daily movement, breath, and reset. So it gives you a little overview, but when you click into it, it'll give you specifically for that day, a specific breath work and instructions to help you. So if you don't know what to do, but you want to know what's aligned with your charts, this is a huge perk. So for myself, the Ujjayi breath, which is the very like, you hear that breath when you're breathing it, you're like kind of I know it's not about
I know. I remember this. I totally. You brought this up. I was like, I remember
yes.
this. You practicing it, or you doing it with your yoga students in your class all the time. I remember this
Yes, because
vividly.
you're constricting your so this gives you suggestions. What's also great, it gives you routines for stretches that are highly recommended, best times. Each day it's going to give you some different recommended times for each day. Obviously, in a perfect world, you're doing your stretches at perfect times, but it just gives you guidance, right? So I just wanted to bring that up, that if you're like, well, I want to add more breath work, but what do I do? And you need some ideas, or just knowing where you are, this will recommend it based on your charts. So just one huge perk to our Awakened Light app. So I wanted to point that out.
I know you built a lot into this app, and I don't even think I found this part yet.
No, I there's a lot in it. It is overwhelming. I was explaining my app to somebody recently, and I don't know what happened to our names, and they just showed up. I was so excited, started explaining it, and then I got this person, like, after I spent, like, 20 minutes explaining the app, they were so excited for my app, but I'm like, "I need a better sales pitch than, like, a 20-minute, 30-minute explaining what all this app does." So I gotta work on my sales pitch with that. I wanted to say, Lois, I'm glad you're feeling calmer because that is the point. The point is to feel better. Oop, I'm gonna get rid of showing those. Perfect. Awesome. Let's jump into this week then, because it's all about use the tools you can. You've now learned the alternate nostril breath, so do that today and tomorrow, anytime you're feeling a little bit out of whack. And you've got the app. Join me, become a beta tester if you want to have specific breath work and movement recommended for you. And you get to try it out because I cannot guarantee it's perfect, but it's coming along. It is coming along well.
We're fixing it every day. So we appreciate the feedback because we've had beta testers testing the app and they've got questions because everyone's astrology curious. I don't know if that's the right term. Astrology curious. But they're like, I don't know what this. I like it, but I don't know what it means. And it's like, okay, there's a lot. The whole reason Julie built it was because she's like, I want one center place for all this stuff I like to be, and I want to be able to explain it to people so they understand how astrology affects their decision making, their travel hiccups, and all the other things in
And
life.
it's
You
even
don't
more
realize how much it affects you.
and it's even more than just astrology. It's also the numerology. We've got the elements. We haven't even gotten to the human design aspect of it. So there's all these esoteric things that do really affect us. And when you see like what we're talking about and what we're going to go into now with the 2-day periods is themes that are highlighted between the numerology, the elements, and the astrology. So those in if there's everything's kind of like pointing to the same thing, that's what the energy is carrying for that day. And that's my idea, is to bring it into a holistic system, not have to go over here for astrology, for Western, over here for Vedic, over here for numerology, over here for human design. I am creating something that brings it all together. And it does lead with connecting it through yoga. And that's one of the bases, because yoga is the way that I found all of these other tools. They do fit under the 8 limbs. So it's very much about bringing it. My goal is not only making these lives holistic, it's also making this app holistic. So adding the part of where we're going to learn either a breath work or an easy pose or something with the alignment each week to take away as well. So just that added, just making it holistic. I don't want things segmented and decompartmentalized. I don't think it helps us. So that's just my personal belief. On that, let's jump into the week. Okay, so let's start with today and Monday. So we're here for the May 3rd and 4th. We've got the numerology. As I said, numerology, we started with the 9, which is that completion release from that full moon. And that is becoming closed. We also have the moon in Sagittarius right now, which has been rising from the Scorpio depth to let the Sagittarius energy in. When we get to tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier, we're going into Universal Day Numerology 1, which is that new cycle. First breath of something genuinely fresh. And especially since we literally went in April, it was the Vedic New Year. So we had the Vedic New Year, we had the spring, we had the change from the Uranus in Taurus to the Uranus in Gemini. We had all of these signs. This is going to feel like we're really stepping into that new beginning now, because we're finally kind of done all that chaos. There's not really any weird alignments or chaos this week besides just normal life, where we've had quite intense weeks coming up to this point. So the guidance, how we survive today and tomorrow, for today is honor what the full moon showed you. So what came up as an apparent spotlight, whatever was kind of trend, It is about closing it with intention, what you need to let go of, and what you need to maybe change. So, looking at yourself, taking that reflection, especially today, is highly recommended. What did the full moon bring up in your personal life that you need to let go of? You know, let me know in the chat. Like, share what if you came to any epiphanies or if you're still trying to figure that out, because maybe there was a lot of chaos that was happening during your full moon, right? And then how we make it through tomorrow. Do one thing that signals to yourself you are in new territory. So the guidance as we go through tomorrow is do something. It doesn't have to be a big gesture, but a deliberate one. So again, a lot of the theme that's come up over these weeks was being seen. Being seen, being seen, being seen, being seen. Like it was like so many weeks of that. So maybe for yourself, your signal is doing something about being seen. Maybe you're finally going to turn on and commit to making a video. Maybe you're going to go and join our visibility engine. We're rolling out our next 8-week session will be starting June 1st. And if you register, you're going to get grandfathered pricing till the 15th of May, and we will start working with you as of May. So you're going to get like a whole month extra bonus if you start working with us. So maybe that becomes your signal to
That's
yourself.
that's an amazing
It
deal.
is.
That's an amazing deal because we've already had somebody say they're going to join sooner because she asked me how many extra sessions she would get, and I'm like, I'm happy you're excited. So send the payment, and then we
We'll
can
just
get
start.
started.
Exactly. Once you've paid us, we will start working with you. Right now, we're doing 2 sessions, like either group and one-on-one. Mainly, we're doing a lot of one-on-ones with our students, just helping them because each student's at a little bit of a different level. But each week, we're doing 2. So the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to get those 2. And you'll get them for however many weeks. And then once we get into June, it's going to be rolled into the program. So you're just getting that head start with that. So that would be highly aligned for Monday, would be doing something like that, that signals you're in new territory and you're going forward with the new beginning. So something like that. And I guess, let us know, what are you completing and what are you excited to bring in? We would love to know that. So do jump that. If you're watching this after the fact, put it in the comments, put it in the chat. We'd love to know. Now we're jumping to Tuesday, Wednesday. So we get into May 5th and 6th. We've got Universal Numerology 2 for Tuesday, which brings up partnership, patience, support that arrives when we stop pushing alone. Okay, so what's interesting is this new beginning is highlighting when we get into Tuesday that we are not to do these things alone. So this is I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna straight up tell you, I've always been somebody to do things by myself because I want to get things done. I've got to do them, and asking for help is struggle. And then I end up yelling at people to help me versus asking for help. So it's interesting because it's really pushing this energy that it's about partnerships, it's about becoming patient, and it's about supporting and helping. So looking at where we need to stop doing things alone in our lives and need to start looking at who we can work with or who can help us and bringing that in. And then on Tuesday as well, we move into Capricorn, which grounds this new cycle into structure for the long game thinking. So again, if you've taken that step on Monday, so maybe you're joining our visibility, engine example, by Tuesday, it's going to be grounding that new step and structure for the long-term game plan is to be seen. So getting that process in place. When we move to Wednesday, which comes to numerology 3, we've got expression, creativity, voice. What wants to be said now is the threshold is crossed. So we're really speaking our truth now. Like this is all about expression, creativity, voice, right? That communication, that Uranus and Gemini, which is highlighted for this next 7-year period, right? We're getting through that threshold, and Wednesday is really pushing us to talk about what we want to do and to start pushing that. And then we have Venus in Gemini, which amplifies the numerology 3. Again, that communication, feeling creative and more expressive. So maybe just coming up with a new way to explain something you've been talking about. So how to make through? Tuesday and Wednesday, we have for tomorrow or Tuesday specifically, check in with someone who matters. The numerology 2 rewards relationships. So Tuesday is a great day to check in because, again, we're talking about the partnerships, who you're working with. So a really good day to work and focus on the relationships. And then Wednesday is say a thing, create the thing, and express what the last week clarified for you. So by the time we get to Wednesday, it's really highlighting that same what the full moon was spotlighting for you, and that you're taking the steps going forward with whatever you were shown. Very much aligned with how to make through for Tuesday and Wednesday. Need to hear something from you this week. Not a hard conversation, just something true that maybe you haven't said yet. Any thoughts on how Tuesday and Wednesday is going to show up for you, Mike?
Well, we have students who, yeah, I do, because we have students who've started and students who are just getting started in the visibility engine, live streaming to YouTube, learning how to do shorts, the whole process. And no one's going to be perfect because we're humans. We're not perfect. We're just dedicated to fixing processes and making progress, documenting what works, documenting that what doesn't work. And it's just, this week's going to be, we have students launching their podcast or their weekly show. And when I touched base with them yesterday, they're like, oh yeah, I'm good. And when I touch base with them today, they're like, I don't know what, it's not that they don't know what they're doing, but the bravery they showed yesterday has now been erased today because tomorrow's game time. And I was like, this is why I'm touching base with you, because you were very, very confident yesterday. And I know you want everything to work tomorrow. That is why today, after Julie and I produce this show, I'll be following up with you, and we're going to have to go set up the tomorrow stream and do a test stream today, because even what we've learned is, even if everything looks like it's set up properly, when you go live, it may be 100% good. The energy the force may be with you.
And it may also not be with you. The force may also be like you're hitting a wall. However,
but mentally, how are you prepared to equip with that? You're either going to run and cry and just disappear, or you're going to continue on with the show.
Well, what's interesting
and take a deep breath. And like today, we're like, okay, we're unsure of Rumble and Substack because it was working great. And then recently it stopped working. And we're like, now there's new options, which means that for me, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to, I was like, we turned them on. We're going to have to go do more testing, whatever.
And even if we do, it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, right? Like, and that's also having to learn the technology. All I can think of is the humorous comment, because you have been in technology since you were like 13, 14. You have been fixing things forever. You have been in it pretty much your entire life. But I find it
with no YouTube.
No YouTube videos to help you, because that was before YouTube. Yeah, that's how old.
This is where I had to just figure it out, and I know you hate that answer.
I do. Don't tell me to just figure it out. But my comment was my train of thought, but it was going to be about how you would have there would be no industry for technology. And that was years ago. I remember when you were self-employed and early on in your self-employment, somebody telling you that essentially you would never be successful because technology would just work. And we have yet to see the time that technology will ever just work. It feels like the further and the more advanced we go down the technology, the less it just works. I'm just saying.
It's a matter of, the challenge right now is that things were able to be documented and it worked because things didn't change all the time. Like, we were literally university days, and I know that's 2 decades ago, right? It's 2 decades ago. Things were like not really changing for 2 years. So there was a time for it to be released, documented, and everything to be the same for like a good 2
Yes.
years. And now it's like, hey, what you did yesterday doesn't even exist anymore.
Exactly. Especially when you start being part of, which I don't like, but I'm paying to be
Now,
paying to be a beta tester through using Restream or using some of these other newer platforms. You pay to do it, and then they upgrade something, and then just suddenly, it's not part of this plan. Now it's part of this plan. Now you either have to pay more or you don't get that aspect. Like it's just consistently, you don't know. I guess like
so
it's consistently inconsistent is our reality now.
so you don't like paying to be a guinea pig, aka a beta tester.
I don't.
Which is literally what I find everything today is. Doesn't matter if it's appliances, vehicles, like everything, because it's computerized. Your expectation is like, hey, I grew up with something, it would last 10, 15, 20, 30. Furniture TVs still work, but now we have thin flat screens, and you're like, what? You got like 3, 4 years. Oh, sorry, you look at it wrong and it cracks the screen. But that furniture TV, you could play soccer off of it and it was still working.
Yeah, you could have head bumped into the screen, and you would just be knocked out. The TV's fine.
So now a kid throws a game controller remote across the room at the TV. The 70-inch TV shattered, but I'm like, yeah, you could throw it against a tube TV, and that thing would still work.
Exactly,
right?
exactly, right. So we are definitely not in those times anymore. But I do think it's interesting,
No.
kind of like rolling back to your student that you were talking about. Monday is the perfect day to take the actions of getting across that threshold. So I find that interestingly timed, that it's highly recommended that to take that steps for the student. So we'll work with them. But I know we are both our worst enemies and our best friends, right? Like we can convince ourselves things and put ourselves in a negative attitude, but we can also convince ourselves the opposite. And it's amazing, left to our own devices, how much we can, what is the word? Work against ourselves. What would I say?
Well, and just build up that huge mountain, because we've even seen it. With the variety, we have both male and female students, right? And vastly different industries. And you're like, just get like, today do this, tomorrow do this. And it's like, oh, I want to do everything at once. And it's like, just get started in one step, right? Because the reason we've got the visibility engine the way it is, it's like literally do stuff and build it out.
And start adding the levels, right? Like
So you don't have to be
right.
So you don't have to be in there all week. Like realistically, if you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of content, you could film for half hour, 1 hour per week, chop that up, and schedule those shorts. And then that's literally what, 2, maybe 3 hours. If you really want to be crazy OCD with pretty looking like thumbnails are great, all this stuff. But when people spend so much time on one particular aspect of it, I'm like, I don't think that's going to give you the payoff you think it will until you have a huge audience. And then split testing may be important.
Exactly.
But right now,
like,
the baby steps.
Yeah. Well, the most important is take that step. Start making the content, because we can't add any of the dimensions. You can't start making thumbnails. You can't start testing thumbnails if there's no content to put it on, right? So it's like we also have to.
But then the energy gets blocked. But the energy gets blocked because of the full moon. So my question was like, how long? Like, is tomorrow game day? Everybody should be reset.
Well, the majority, like, I can't say it's impossible that people are still going to.
Or do they have to go use your app and figure out what their energy, what their power?
The app is going to give you a better idea because it'll run your own charts. But for the majority, we are out of that energetic system by Monday. Like it should not be affecting us. But can I guarantee it's not going to still have some resonance or resonate or like just kind of a cling on your life for a little bit? I can't, because we all are built so differently and have different astrologies, and we're also differently natured. So somebody that's born at the same time as you, that has almost exactly the same astrology, can be having a very different experience because of how they're innately made, right? They're not they're not cool with something where you might be more cool or whatever, because you're just made differently, right? So there is all these factors at play. That's why we're looking at pulling as much of a holistic view of all those factors as possible. So, like, because I don't think any of them are perfect, but working together, I feel it's just going to give us the most accurate sense of where we're sitting. So that would be, so how this moon is going to affect you should be over for most of us by Monday. You should be kind of feeling the ends of it at this point. Could still be lingering. Like, I'm not going to double down on anything. It could definitely still be lingering if it affected you and really spotlighted something that you don't want to deal with. That might be a harder thing, because if something came up that was really big and difficult to want to deal with, that's just going to linger because you're going to be internally fighting it, right?
Okay.
Let's continue. Let us go on to let's go make some salad. To choose Thursday, Friday. So we got window 3. So we're going from numerology 22. So that's that master build that hits us halfway through the week, to numerology 5, the universal numerology 5. But when we get to Thursday with 22 again, it is essentially just about grounded structure, long game energy of the week. It's an architecture game, an architecture day. So it's a really good day to keep building what your structure is. Again, if you've been following my lives, there was a number of months where the foundation was rotting. We've pushed out that foundation. At this point, the foundation that was crumbling and rotting should be gone. If there's any lingering, you're going to have to still deal with that. But it really is building the structure, the long game, that plan. Again, we can use our visibility engine, would be a perfect example of like Thursday going live with the tools you learned to start putting them in a practical manner to build what you're building. That would be the best to do it. And ironically, we're going to be live again on Thursday for the episode of Honestly Though, where we'll reflect on the week, like some events of what's going on that matches what the astrology is kind of showing, right? So good day to get structured to do those practical steps. When we also have the Uranus and Gemini again, as we've mentioned multiple times, which will also bring unexpected information that confirms or redirects the build. So pay attention, because Gemini and Uranus brings on a lot of unpredictable things, but especially as we go through Wednesday, we might be getting unexpected information that confirms or rebuild or redirects what we're doing. So it's either going to be like, yes, this is what you're supposed to do. And it might still be, yes, this is what you're supposed to do. But you're also being like, shown this aspect to just maybe change it a bit. So maybe what you were thinking of creating, maybe the live or the video you were wanting to make is still a yes, but now you're getting a little bit of a different perspective that maybe instead of doing it this way, I'm going to do it this way. That type of idea. When we get into Friday, so then we're hitting that universal day 5 that you'll see on the screen there for Friday. And that's movement, freedom, unexpected developments after the big commitment. So again, we still got that unexpected energy holding on Friday, especially with what we committed to. Okay, so what we're working on, unexpected developments after the big commitment. We have overall the guidance. So that's really what it's bringing in, just unexpectedness on Friday. So keep that in mind. How to make it through Thursday and Friday. Thursday, write down one sentence of what you are building. Make it real on paper. We talked about that with the full moon. Speak what you want to create, write it down, talk it out. Whatever process of that manifestation matches you the best. Thursday is highlighted to write it out. So if you got your pen, just write out what you are creating. It is good practice to do that on a regular basis to keep reinforming yourself anyways. And that's actually part of one of my classes. which is part of the Awakened Light. I've got a whole process that teaches you that type of, and it goes into all of that. But that's guidance for Thursday. And then how survive Friday is be flexible. That's a big thing for Friday. After the numerology of the 22 on Thursday and then 5, the first piece of movement is happening on Friday. It's so be flexible on what has just what you've committed to, right? So again, I think that we're at this time where it's really just reaffirming what you thought you knew isn't necessarily be the same way by the time you even make it to Friday. So be flexible that maybe what your plan was to get visible. So maybe you were going to do it yourself and you start going through this. And by Friday, it becomes visible that you do need that partnership. You need somebody who's going to be your production manager. You need somebody to work with and for what you're committing to make it easier, right? That would be a way to think about it. So if you wrote one sentence right now, what are you building? That's the question to everybody. What are you building? What are you building, Mike?
What are we building? What are we building?
If you were doing right now, what are you building? How would you label it?
That's a good question because I had a word. I wanted to. It's a community. I want to know, despite all the flaws I may have with video production, I want to get other people started because we all learn from each other. Because I've come into producing shows with like a different organization before, right? And it's like, wait, and I saw all the issues people were having with going live, producing, being inconsistent, technology issues, and all of that stuff. And I'm like, really, with our visibility engine, with our YouTube University, it's like, hey, we know. I see failure all the time from other people who are doing it, and then just quit. It's like, okay, you need somebody to just hold your hand, be accountable, maybe be a little bit mean to say, okay, this ain't working. I don't like this. Some of our students say, hey, I don't want to do lives. I'm like, going live is just a suggestion of a way to make content for your business. You can record it and upload it, or you can just focus on shorts, but you constantly need to be making content and changing and just getting better at your promotion, because it doesn't matter. You brought up when you were at it was a craft sale this week or last week or whenever recently, that you didn't have your elevator pitch in person nailed down to 60 seconds.
I do not have my elevator pitch for my Awaken Light app down as a 60-second commercial. I know that
And then
it's
you're like,
not.
oh,
I know.
and then you brought up business cards, and it's like, you've seen my progression with my business cards, right? Because I've used professional designers. I've designed them myself. You go through a box of 100, 500, 1,000, and you're like, well, what do I go forward with? Because you, right? And then back at the end where I'm like, I've got a handful left saying I'm a producer for Mupo Entertainment. And then I've got some with like my books when I was promoting my first book, and now I'm on my 5th book. And I'm like, me promoting my own books, this is why I'm inviting author. We actually do have author, because our newest student is an author, and that is exactly what she's producing tomorrow, is highlighting her authors and creating content to promote her books, right? So a community, what I'm building, a community of like-minded creators who want to get started, or they just want somebody they need somebody to hold them accountable to actually start and continue every single week, no matter at what speed that they're moving at, or what they're learning, what they perceive their learning curve to be, because there's going to be learning curve and emotions and some people really want to see subscribers and comments in the chat, and that you may not get that satisfaction right off the bat unless you
Come on, I
have
want my 2,000 viewers like the person making the Ricky's, like, eggs. I was
go film
impressed,
yourself
though,
cooking
they were
breakfast
using
every
real
day.
eggs. So I did see that, so I was actually kind of impressed, but while I was unimpressed that was holding over 2,000 people's attention span. So I was simultaneously impressed and not impressed at the same time.
It could be structured advertisement for
Oh,
Rickies because they're
clearly
like,
is,
hey,
it is, because it says it's
we don't know what to do, so we're just gonna. And I've given. Okay, have you not heard me give this comment to other people who have brick and
yeah,
mortars and
yeah.
say,
Oh, I know.
leave your cat? You're like, I don't know, I'm too boring. I'm like, I understand you feel like you're too boring because that is the struggle every single business owner says when they're not getting the clients coming in like they think they should be, or when they're reviewing their own video. Oh, like this is not good. I'm like, but you're starting and you're crafting your story and your and your storytelling style. So this is why if you're not sure what to do, just put up a camera. Like it's what, like our one of our students, David, where the building that we're going to be hosting the May in-person YouTube University boot camp. And that's literally a furniture construction business. That stuff should be. Who wouldn't watch if you're gonna watch eggs being cooked
They're
at a
gonna
Ricky's?
watch
You're
that.
like,
They are going
watch.
to, and they're gonna
You're
be
gonna,
so much more successful than trying to bring this type of content. So I'm just gonna say, I'm
exactly.
not boring enough to be not boring. There you go. I'm not even boring enough to be not boring.
This is why I hold space Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern for I Am YouTube Famous, because I want people to come in and pick my brain about getting started with their content or what they're doing wrong, because then we as a collective can go look and say, hey, maybe you got to just change it. I'm not saying it's going to be a good answer, but you need to ask somebody who's going to give you fresh ideas to change something up, and then just measure. Oh, hey, 0 views, 100 views, 100 views, 5,000. Okay, I just had to get input from other people who are doing who
And
are
that's
also
exactly
working on it every
what
day.
the week talks about, right? So when we went to the Thursday, Friday, or sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday was about getting the support, work, not pushing and doing it alone, right? So getting that was in that energy. And then by the time we get to Friday, it's just making sure we're flexible so we don't, because I get it. We get so used to wanting things, but as we've been talking about, how we're realizing we have to get so flexible because, like I said, how even technology works today does not mean tomorrow we go in and we do another live and anything works the same way. We know this. Like, that is how quickly it
All,
changes.
all, all the AI experts out there,
I
really, they're
don't
just
think that
like,
not to diss them, I don't think you can be an AI expert. Like, unless, like, you are literally know what has changed at every moment and how it's adapting or what they've just added to it. It is, like, I know one of the people that's our students, she had a hard time staying up with stuff because it changes so quickly. It's a hard to stay on top of that.
or the other student, and I'm like, she mentioned something about chatty, and I'm like, is that, are you referring to ChatGPT? How did you know, Mike? And I was like, because I think everybody's given ChatGPT the same nickname.
I know that there's
And
a
then I was like,
couple people that I have seen that did name them different names, but I think
and
we're
then,
all
and then,
calling
and then I asked, I'm like, is that the only relation? Is that the only AI you have a relationship with? What type of question is that? Is like, I want to know, as your YouTube coach, are you like how much are you using ChatGPT versus Canva? Where are you planning to build your graphics? Because that's part of it. Titles, description, graphics, like all this stuff, all these assets you're putting onto your YouTube channel. Where are you, like, are you coming up with it? Is it an AI?
Are you
Are you
working with
using
the AI
multiple to
together?
see what the
Yeah.
answers are? Because if Julianne, if my wife and I show you what we've been building, um you'll be like, well, what did you build that in? And well, it's like, oh, well, this is our process, and I don't want to show you. I will happily show you our process, but I don't want to confuse you if you're thinking ChatGPT is as good as sliced bread. Like that's the magic. Like it's
Well,
there
you know,
because I'm not.
I I have to pull this back to remember our honestly though. And one of the big things we talked about, because with this Uranus and Gemini communication, and you said one thing that we talked about, 72% of teens use AI as a companion and having a relationship that is not the relationship of it just going and finding answers for them, like a intuitive, smart browser, you know, like how we would just go ask Jeeves back in the day or go to Google. They're
Please.
using they're using AI as like a supplementary friend, a supplementary relationship. And so it's interesting how you phrase it. Who, like, what AIs do you have a relationship with? I'm going to say I don't have a relationship with them. I just like yelling at all of them simultaneously when they don't do what I want them
I
to do.
know,
So
but
they
as
all just simultaneously think I'm psycho.
as a saying, like our curriculum is like, here's what you need to do. Where are you at? And where do we need to like what when do you need today so that tomorrow like I we need to know exactly how people are going to progress because there's some that like, hey, I like this, and then they don't like it, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Well, no,
where's
we have
that?
to, and that's what we're doing. Like, that's why we're doing so much one-on-one, and why if you register now, you're gonna get extra weeks, because we are hand-holding people to what your budget, what tools you're gonna use, because there's so many tools. Not everybody's gonna be using the same tools, not everyone's gonna have the same budget, not everyone's gonna have the same goal of what they want to really create. So we are really working one-on-one with each person to help get them a plan, so when they're out of this, they can just continue adjusting it. So they've got like a base idea, doesn't mean it's always going to be exactly the same, but you've got it as part of your routine, and then you get that flexibility that you're just cutting things out and adding things and adjusting them as technology changes around you, right? Because those are things we can't control, but we can control that we show up and have a process, and that's what we're working with. So really, by the time we get to Friday next week, stay flexible on whatever you're committed to build, and and keep moving forward. Like, that's what's really highlighted as we go into that. But let's finish up to when we'll come and meet next week. So we'll look at Saturday and Sunday next week. So, or the end of the week. So Saturday the 9th, Sunday the 10th. So we're getting into Universal Day 6 on Saturday, which brings in the idea of harmony, love, responsibility. How does what you're building affect those around you? So that's also a thing. Like, what are you building? Is it, especially if it comes from an intent to help others and to work with others and to improve, I feel like, the collective and humanity, it's going to be much more supported, in all honesty. It also, we have the moon moving into Aquarius on Saturday. So it's really looking at a collective vision, zooming out, taking a bigger stance, looking at the bigger picture. The bigger patterns are starting to become visible. Now, we might see this in what we're trying to create. We might also see this just on the collective of seeing a bigger pattern that maybe we've ignored, where we're like, this just seems like it's very similar to this time. And then you start seeing how they mirror each other. You're seeing a pattern, right? And then we've got on Sunday when we meet again at 11:11. If everything goes perfect, I'll be alive at 11:11 Eastern. Today was not perfect, but I still made it live. When we get to meet on Sunday next week, we've got Universal Day 7. So this brings introspection, spiritual truth, and inner knowing, which is quite appropriate for a weekly energetic review. We have Jupiter in Cancer supporting both Saturday and Sunday, which brings in emotional warmth and nurturing availability. So that's going to be the underlying themes through the weekend. So to make it through next weekend, Saturday is tend to a relationship. So that same energy of whoever you were to call and touch base with. Maybe there's another person, or maybe you're doing a follow up with them. So it's like tend to a relationship, or maybe somebody that you've kind of neglected. It's time to give them some TLC. Let the building include the people you love. So if you can fit the people that you care about into what you want to create, because this is the theme. like me building this app, wanting it to be holistic. We are looking for holistic lives. We want our lives to be balanced. We want to have not that, I feel like a majority of us, maybe not everybody, but I do feel that a lot of us really want that perfect, not that anything can ever be perfect, but a balance of where your job, the way you make money, the way you create energy is not separate from your family, right? Like your family over here, you do over here, you go do your 9 to 5 job, then you come back and you put your time into your family, but they're separate. They're separate entities. They're not together. I feel like we're getting pushed that we don't want them as separate. We don't want to go do a job for 9 to 5 and then come back and be like, okay, now we're switching our hat. Now we're a parent for like 5 till 9 p.m. And now, like those type of things. I don't think that's really where we're meant to go. We're meant to go on making things more like holistic, more together. Like, can we fit our family into being part of our big plan of where we want to go? Can we work together with those people that we most care about to be successful? That if we have a common ground and we're working for a common goal, we're all working together to improve our lives as a family or as a group, whoever you're working with. Does that make sense? What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, it's funny because you're talking about like compartmentalizing, and it's like, man, this is why everybody's like, er, a lot of people's um live by a schedule. And it's like, are you, it's like, oh, Saturday, this time to this time, it's this chore, and this time to this time is this chore, because it's just been programmed by like a salary job to do certain things during certain times. And it's like, but life doesn't really go that we life doesn't really play out that way because it's especially when you've got kids, you're like we only have one, so it's not like we have to split our attention across multiple children and they're going to be like arguing who gets the most attention. But it's definitely like certain things just end up taking more, they're not going to fit into that box of time that you assign them,
Mhm.
or they're going to be resentful that they only got that time, right? So it's kind of um I've got some clients who are super needy and I know it, and I'm like, every time they call, they're gonna be on the phone with you. You fix the problem in 5 minutes, but they want that 1 hour, 2 hour conversation. We even had that with we were on the call with the student the other day, and I was like, okay, he's got to get off the phone because his next door neighbor is wanting his attention. And it sounds like that happens a lot because like, oh, every Sunday there's going to be that meal, and you're just going to be, expected to participate and take that with a smile.
And there's definitely nothing wrong with it, right? However, I think that
No, no, no. I'm just
the
that.
underlying energy is just bringing how can we include everything versus having these all separate, right? So instead of being like, well, my relationship over here, but then my work is over here, well, how do we combine that it all, we work together? Like I feel like we almost need to get into like little tribes again. I think that that's a lot of what's going to happen over the years is like
But that's what I feel like. And that's totally how I feel with the YouTube university that we run, because I'm like, I don't care what level of business you're at. I don't care if you're making money, you're nonprofit, you're not, like, I don't care. It's literally, you've heard it, in order to get anything done, to build a relationship, to get money, to do this, to get feedback on, maybe you're doing something nonprofit and you just want feedback on methodology, you need to promote it. And you're either going to have a video promotion ready for them and you can send them a link, or you're going to be doing the talking points verbally to them, right? So tribes and super
and
important.
that's the energy. I believe what's probably what we're gonna see the trend go to is just more of including what you're building to include the people you care about. Not separating it, like making that it's very much I guess my last thing on that, just because this came up to my I got this inspired thought, is kind of like the idea of retirement, okay? Because that's like a separation. When you retire, that we've been sold this idea of retirement, then you're moving to a different life and that you're not gonna work anymore. But that's not really true. Like, especially with inflation and the cost of living and how the governments have mismanaged retirements. Like, if you're if a business has a good retirement system and you will get paid well and you're able to compensate for inflation. Great. I don't want to begrudge you. But for the majority of us, we don't get that. And there probably won't even be retirement money. So we have to have like this better idea of how do we build this, that it's not just, I get we go through changes of our lives, but it's not separate. It's not, I'm retired now, I'm in this stage and so I can't ever work again. Maybe you just change the way you see working. Maybe you change the way you see how you bring value, right? So it's just having this ability to be flexible that we brought up and to include the people around us. That is the big themes that come up this week. And the last note for Sunday, which I will probably need to work on, is the best thing to do is go quiet. The numerology 7 rewards those who listen before they speak. So making sure we're actively listening, which I'm sure everybody can improve on. I'm sure there's some master listeners, but that would be the other way to kind of make it through Sunday. Because clearly, especially since Saturday brings up a lot of who you love and building with them, Sunday might be that moment where you really want to hear what they're saying and that you're actually listening before you respond. So by the time we get into the 10th, what do you want to understand about this week that you don't, you know, that by the time we get to the numerology 7, like by the weekend, it's gonna be a little bit more obvious. So as asked, I'm glad what resonates here. What was I gonna go? There we go. Can I show that? There we go. So Lois, you resonate with May 5th and 6th. It'll be interesting to see how the energy goes. So you'll have to let us know how that kicks in. So as we come to the end here, pull another card just to finish up today. Let me just find my thing here. And we're going to ask one more poll, leave for guidance on what do we need to carry with us? What do we need most to carry with us? So what do we need this week to assist us as we go through the week? Like, what guidance does the collective need most as we step into the cycle and into this clear new energy? First week where we don't have a full moon, we're not transitioning from Uranus to Taurus. Uranus to Taurus, that has been there for 8 years. And then when Uranus into Gemini for the next 7 years, we're out of that. We're not having a new moon. We're not having a full moon. We're literally just going through and starting this new cycle. So what guidance do what guidance do we have here as we come through this week? What do we need most to step into this week?
Patience.
No, we need to celebrate. That is what we got. We got celebration. Celebrate. It'll be all right. Get ready to let your hair down and celebrate. It's time to go out to dance and play. An invitation could be your way. So again, by the end of the week, we know that there's a lot of unexpected things. So we might be getting some invitations. I feel like that what we really need to bring most is that lightness, because we've been so heavy. So it's like we have to bring the party with us, even though it feels like the party's over, it ended, but we need to celebrate still going on. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Celebrate. The thought. I always this is the core theme I have with all my students. Doesn't matter if it's technology or YouTube or anybody I come across. I want small wins, because you may say, I want all of this fixed, but all of this being fixed is a lot of my favorite word, second favorite phrase, environmental variables, right? Like, for you to buy into what I'm helping you with, I need to show you that, hey, let's fix like small little wins. And so it's always a celebration, because when we're introducing students to like YouTube or Restream or whatever, and I'm like, well, I have an account. They tell me they have an account. I'm like, great, have you logged in? Yes, I've logged in. Okay, well, I want to have access to your computer so I can show you where the buttons I use are. Not all the buttons, but I want you to be comfortable with the layout.
So is it like
And I want you to
celebrating the win of getting comfortable with that layout?
have getting like because it's like breath work, right? Like they need to be comfortable because if a confused mind is never going to be a successful mind.
Yeah.
Like confused buyer, if somebody's confused on what you actually do for them, they're not going to buy. It's different when they walk into a retail store because they've walked through the golden arch, they've walked through that door, and they either leave without anything or they get tricked through psychology, sales psychology, and bought. You know, it's like walking into Costco. I want a rotisserie chicken, and they roll out with a shopping cart of $900.
Well, then are they
That
okay, I'm
is
going back to the celebration theme, Mike. Are they
no,
celebrating
no,
that
no,
they
no.
bought
I know. It's just
$900?
that little win, like little wins, little wins. That's a
Yeah.
celebration, and that's the core thing I say all the time to people. I'm like, we have a conversation. I want you to come away from this conversation with one thing that you're happy that you learned or it was successful or whatever. Because you got to celebrate. Because if not, you're just going to be grumpy that things don't
I
work.
don't
Or
celebrate enough, so I need more celebration on the wins, and as we go through the week, the big celebrations are gonna be when you take those steps to what was spotlit over the full moon, and then you start taking those practical steps to go forward with it. That's gonna be the win. Just making those decisions, just stepping into it. I feel like that's alone the celebration just for making those decisions to go forward.
yeah, I agree.
So celebrate those small wins. That is gonna help you as you go through the week. So to summarize up what we're looking for, how this week is going to be, Scorpio full moon last week showed us something. So it showed us something last week. This week is the first week we get to live on the other side of what it showed us, right? What it showed us, now we get to start making decisions on what we want to do with that full moon and what we learned from it. With the master builder number of 22, again, amplifying what it's asking, what are we building, what are we committed to, what structure is real. So again, keeping that in mind. And then as of today and tomorrow, the new universal 9-2-1, the ending to the new beginning, which starts on Monday, which is kind of interesting and convenient, is the universe saying this phase is done and the building phase is here. So we're done that phase of contemplation. We all know what we need to do. Like this has come up as well. It is now building phase. Get on that, jump on the wagon, start building. Build what you are what was spotlit over the full moon and these last few months. And then the breath work is not yoga exercise. It is a way to get your body to start moving the energy through you. So keep that in mind. You've got that. You can always replay it. You now know the opposite nostril breath, which might come up again. And if you want more something more precise, I'm going to let Mike go in. Talk about
Okay. Nice connection. Can you hear me? But so it says that I'm disconnected, so I'm not really sure. So I'm just gonna talk then. Okay.
I can
And then
hear
we'll
you
find
now.
out if it's on. Okay, you can hear me now. Now it says reconnected. So you know what? We needed a pause for me to come in and do this. Are you gonna bring up the digital download icon screen?
Give me one moment and I can bring that up if that's what you want.
Because I've got a couple things to talk about. We've got the May digital download. I've got 6 points here to talk about. So I wanted to make sure I did had an image so we can talk about the things on your fourth wall store. And if I need to go find them and share them, I will do that. But then I think you still have to let me share them on the screen. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the May digital download. It's called Expand Your Reach. It's this month's digital guide, and please grab it and start using it this week. We're into May, right? So start of the month, and it's good to just get acquainted with the energy for May, and it's easy one click download, one click purchase, download it, and get acquainted with it. And Julie's have been putting there's so much details in these digital downloads, and they're super easy to find on her website, and you just go to digital downloads, and this is how you can get started with her and her knowledge. And um,
So you just have to
read
go to
it.
breathewithinyoga.com, and that second link is digital downloads. You'll see that, and then you can it'll bring you right to my Fourth Wall store where you can then download it.
They also show up on your YouTube channel on your store link, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's two ways to find them, either on breathewithinyoga.com, or if you'll notice them popping up on being tagged on her videos on her YouTube store, which is another one of the things that we teach our students to do when they are building out their YouTube channels. Second thing is the stay oriented.
Oh.
You got that coming up. Okay, perfect. It's right there in the set. So yes, it's right there, right next to the May digital download. Stay oriented, March to August 2026. So it's a 25-page, 6-month navigation guide for the months where momentum is rebuilding quietly, designed for exactly where we are right now. So many people, it's springtime. We've come out of winter hibernation, and you're building out your spring, summer, fall plans, right? So this is perfect. March to August. You're building, right? So spring's snow's melting, it's gardening time, planning summer activities time, planning your fall. Like, you need it. You'll find that your life goes so much smoother when you actually are planning with how things work out for you, because this is why when Julie and I plan our travel, we're literally using our app, and we're literally typing in travel days to figure out, hey, what days are good, what days are bad, and just things to be aware of, because when you become more in tune with nature and your life, and slow down and plan things out, you'll recognize signs. And when you're not recognizing those signs, that's usually when stuff goes bad.
Yeah,
And
it is, and and then with these PDFs, they work together as so the May goes into some different information than the the stay oriented, but they work together as a package. You can do them individually, like the May one alone will give you lots of information on the coming up transits and what the month of May looks like and how to prepare. And then the stay oriented guide, it just gives you like the outlook of the entire time and more complementary but slightly different information. So they work together as a package, and both are at the Fourth Wall store.
And then we're just going to reintroduce you to ask you to go sign up to be a beta tester for our astrology ecosystem we're building out. You can sign up on breathewithinyoga.com under, it's on the title bar there, become an Awakened Light beta tester.
And then you just fill it out, add those extra questions. I get it. I will email you back with instructions, and you will get full access. If you do go to awakenlight.base44.app, you can go get access with a free account, but you have very limited what you're going to get access to. So if you want to actually see it, see how these transits affect you and how long the full moon affects you, this would be the best way, would be join and become a beta tester while we're still working out and making sure everything is flowing well. You get to try it out for free.
Another, if you want to have a one-on-one with Julie, you can book a session also on our website to go deeper with your own chart, your timing cycles, and your spiritual path. Because we find this a lot where people are like, hey, well, I like your app, and I sort of understand astrology, but I don't understand all this wording. And then I'm like, this is what you typically need somebody to interpret for you and say, okay, what are you going through in your life? Energy you're holding on to. This is precisely how you use the app, and interpret and understand. You might maybe you're just located in the wrong part of the world. We noticed that based on travel. Like travel super things are super easy for us in certain places, and then just more challenging in others, and that's really just based on your astrology sign. Even if you don't think it could be, it realistically is.
Mhm.
And that's why we're like, oh, you know,
Well, and
it
again,
just
with each person, location is so different. So, like for me, location doesn't make much of a difference. It makes much more of a difference on you and your success than it does for me. That's an interesting thing, and that's in the being a beta tester, you get access to that. That shows up on there. As for me, timing has much more control over me than I think. I don't think timing affects you quite as much. I'd have to double check that. But when you're on the app and you're using it, there's a soul map, and here it goes through your activation stack. There's 4 sections: relationship, time, self, location. And then when you click on it, it tells you what parts of the app you can use that will assist those. So for me, my primary is my relationships are super important. So who I work with is one of the most important things to my success. Then it's time, like whether the astrology is going to let me do it. I am literally like right now, I'm at the mercy of time. I feel like I'm in prison until 2028, and then I'm allowed to be seen, and then I get to get out of jail. I'm literally at the mercy. There's nothing I can do to force my astrology to change my outcome. I can make steps and take steps and continue building, but nothing dramatic, and nothing's going to really get the traction until I get to that right time. So that makes a huge effect on my life. Whereas my own personal motivation of doing things is really not important. It comes in third. And then my location is the least important, and it barely affects me. Most places I'm neutral. So then it's interesting to know that on myself. And then when we pull up Mike, his is different. Location will affect him more than it affects me. Timing affects him differently, right? So it's a great tool to understand that, because that is
it's,
also how, like that just all rolls back to being holistic. So you can use this app as a tool to make better decisions in your life.
it's especially when you see, like, it may not be you. You may have just people in your life where you're like, they always seem super frustrated or super stuck, or the only thing you see them posting about on social media is like, this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work. And of course, they may just, like, what's actually affecting them the most, right? Like they're stuck in these repeat cycles. Like the location they're in is just not
And
good, but they were
exactly,
born there
exactly. Like,
and they never moved,
there is people.
or they're stuck because of a divorce
Or
or a job layoff.
timing, right? Whichever of these, or even their own self-motivation, because maybe self is like so high, but they don't have that internal motivation to do it. But they don't understand how much their actions affect their lives so much, right? And then you see it and you're going, oh my gosh, my choices of what I'm doing affect me more than my location or my time, right? Or whatever your charts show, right? And so the idea is the more you understand about yourself, the way you are, you can work with it, and then you don't have to, well, even though I'm frustrated, because I'm not gonna lie, the fact that timing affects me so much, it makes me frustrated. I wish I could find a good solution around timing besides just using timing, the best timing to do things. Um, it doesn't mean you're gonna have a solution, but it will answer questions. Like, why does this happen or this? And when you understand the stack and which things affect you the most, it might give you that makes a lot more sense. And if location is a big factor, maybe moving will help you a lot, or just, like that type of idea.
Is that why people just want to go on vacation? Because it's just a different place, different.
I think that
They
I
just
do think for, especially if it's high in your stack, location and always wanting to move and travel can be very much change your life. Like it's interesting because the more research I do it and the more that I build this app and add more features, it was one question, like, because I was realizing when I pull locations for me, there wasn't really much difference. They were all very neutral because it even gives you a rating when you go to the one aspect in the app, which is because we're talking about it, I have astrocartography. So this is one where you can explore location, right? So you can put in a location, you can put in specific times, et cetera, or just discover ideal locations, right? So this one, I could just go discover career and success. I can put somebody else in this reading with me, but I'm just going to have it discuss or go and run and tell me locations. Now, of course, it's going to pick up more when you do this end, more of the generic areas that people like to visit, but that's why you have multiple where you can put in specific locations versus just kind of what it decides to pull. And I did put a timer because it is cross-referencing a whole bunch of things in the background, and then it will produce a list. It's still working. That's why I got a little timer. It's taking a little while because I haven't actually ran a astrology. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So when you see in mine, okay, it does have some effect. You can see I've got a rating of 7.8 in Los Angeles. Then it jumps to 6.7, 6.4, 6.4, and then I'm down to fives. Right. So literally most of my things are fives, which five is around that neutral. By the time you get to 13, I'm in like neutral. So it's interesting when I would ask, and like, does this actually, because I wanted to make sure, like, does location actually affects some people more than others? And it does. Like some people, and then playing around with my husband's and my daughter's charts, my daughter actually gets affected quite a bit more in a location than I do. But then we'll all have very similar places that don't affect us. So it's a tool to help make life make more sense in a life that doesn't make sense. That's all I can say. This is why I'm building it. It's give me more clarity myself.
Perfect. Great oversight. This is why we want more. We tell everybody about this. Every person who comes up to me, they're like, "Are you into astrology?" I was like, "Oh, you want to know my sign?" I just attract people like that all the time. No matter where I go, people ask me my sign. I'm like, "I'll tell you my sign." I'm like, Sagittarius. Ooh, I like Sagittarius. And it's like, I know, I like my own sign too. Thank you. And then I'm like, hey, if you're astrology curious, come sign up for Awakened Light as a beta tester so we can make a better product because,
Well, as
it's
you
always
heard, if
about.
you were here, I don't want you to pay to be beta tester. When I ask you to pay for it, I want it to be working. I know life is not perfect and there'll probably be some weird glitch that was unforeseen. However, I will not consciously and cannot in good faith have people pay me for something that I wouldn't be happy paying for because it didn't work to my own expectation. And my own expectations are pretty high. So I might have to come to a point where no, I think we need high expectations. We need it. We need to be able to offer better products and not be stuck being beta testers. But the problem is
Oh,
we are in kind of been entrapped through the system on that. But I can't solve that. I can only control my own actions. And my actions is I don't want you to pay me until I'm happy with my app.
okay. Well, they were here. This is why my wife gives me so much feedback on my YouTube University, and this is why she gives me so much feedback. And on my channel, on our students' channels, because I'm like, hey, we got to work on this stuff every single. And we still may not be happy with it every single day, but this is why we have our YouTube Universe. I am YouTubeFamous.com. We have if you're learning YouTube, we're streaming right now onto YouTube and many other social medias, right? This is how we're building our entertainment company. Our this is how we're building it. We're demonstrating by doing it, because I talk to people all the time. As I said, all the business, I'll have a business owner come up to me, ask me a couple things, and ask me about astrology or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? You've got such great questions when you come up to meet people. You should have your own channel. Have you thought about this? Oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I tried it, or I did a course, but the course was just videos, and I can watch a video, Mike, but I'm never gonna go make my own video. And I'm like, that's why you should join the visibility engine at IamYouTubeFamous.com, because you should be doing it. You're already consuming other people's content. You're thinking about making your own content. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sign up on our 8-week visibility engine, and we're gonna meet twice a week, and we're gonna be like, okay, what's the elephant in the corner? You have not added videos to your YouTube channel in 6 months. We need to refresh your thumbnail. We need to refresh your back banner. We need to add videos. We need to figure out your 2 hours, 3 hours you have per week where you can focus on this. We need to build out your workflow, how you're going to get started, what days of the week you're going to work on it, what tools you're going to use to come up with your ideas. I'm going to text you every single day. You can ghost me for a week. I'm going to get concerned if you're ghosting me. I'm just going to be that coach who's there with you to say, okay, we need to. I know you had medical stuff this week. I know you had family stuff. I know it snowed 6 feet. Hey, you're stuck at home. You should be able to work on this stuff. As long as you got internet connection and a good attitude and you've done some breath work, you should be able to pick up the call, get on Zoom with me, and we're going to work through this and build it out, because you should be doing it. You've been self-employed 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. Why are you relying on Facebook to promote yourself? You should make the content. Put it everywhere. Put it on YouTube, get it on Google My Business, and get it on your Facebook, get it everywhere, because we really don't know who sees it, because it's usually the people who are quiet. Your hidden audience, they're the ones who are like, that's a good idea, I should do it. But unless you're promoting it and promoting, like,
You
you'd be
don't know
surprised.
until you're putting your message out.
You don't know until you don't
Yeah.
know, right?
And this is also the thing, because we don't want you to be hooked on just analytics of YouTube. We want you to see that you're posting everywhere, and you've got some people watching you on Facebook, some on TikTok, some on Instagram, some on X. Oh, you've got some on Rumble, you've got some on Substack, and you've got some people.
I got the same like 50 every single week on LinkedIn, and nobody leaves a comment or likes it or shares it.
We know you're watching. We know you're watching.
So you're watching me to see what I'm doing this week. So thank you for watching.
Exactly. And on that note,
but
summarize up.
Thank you for.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think I'm supposed to read this, so you're removing my job. Thank you for being here. It means everything to share this space with you. We are back live next Sunday, same time, same place, minus tech issues. We will have the full energy forecast for the week of May 10th to May 17th. And that sounds weird saying it's going to be halfway through the month at the end of next week, but that's, the next limb of yoga as a survival tool, and another oracle pull for you, because we have a hidden audience who's like, where's those oracle cards? And we're like, we're gonna do them for you. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you get notified when we go live, because that's the best thing about YouTube. You subscribe, you hit that bell, you're gonna get the email from YouTube that we're live. That's why I love YouTube so much. People are like, why do you love it so much? I'm like, that drip email when somebody goes live. I love it because I may forget about you, but if YouTube emails me, I'm going to go check out your stuff.
Well, and it's also a great place to have it. Once it's up there and you get a good name, you got a thumbnail, you never know when people are going to watch it and come to it, right? But you can find us. So come and join us next week, same time. It'll be Sunday at 11:11 Eastern. We'll be live again on Thursday at 7 p.m. with our Honestly Though here on the channel. And you can find me on pretty much every single platform with the @ Breathe Within Yoga. You are going to come across me. You can subscribe, follow me. I would love to see you on Substack and Rumble. I'd love to build those up. So if you're on those, please do check me out there as well. And this is my last. Oh, we are going live tonight, but it's going to be on Don't Get Hacked, and I Am YouTube Famous.
I was going to say, you don't. Is that show really for me because it's called Am I the Asshole? Really?
I'm saying you needed a show. I idea, and it doesn't fit into the
I
astrology.
I like how it's just named after me. Thank you so
Don't
much.
be an asshole.
That's all.
Don't be the oh, no, it's
Thank you
am
for
I the asshole is what it is.
exactly, but it's for me, so thank you. I just figured that out.
No,
It's
it
for
was
me. Okay.
because we needed another idea. I've been watching people do these. I'm like, that might be a really great interactive.
I know because I love them because I like pointing out that people may or may not be, but it's really just your interpretation of the environmental variables.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So if you're interested, we are gonna be live tonight, but it's not gonna be on Breathe Within Yoga. It will be with IamYouTubeFamous.com. And what's your other channel? Is it the Duffy? Don't Get Hacked?
let's don't get hacked. Don't get
Okay,
hacked.
let's put that in there. And those are both on YouTube as well, right?
Those are both on YouTube as well. We stream everything to my Facebook as well. So, you'll find us if you just need to subscribe to Breathe Within Yoga and Don't Get Hacked. And I Am YouTube Famous, and you'll get all of our shows. And this is, that's thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing the space with us because we want to empower you to kickstart this off for yourself, your business, your brand, your nonprofit, your books, the jewelry you make, whatever type of creator you are, you got to have a show.
Well, and with this, we want to give you the vibes of what is being supported. And this week is the week to go into the new beginning, whatever was spotlit, which the theme of being seen is high. So I'm going to say for most people, it was something about being seen, being known, that you actually have a voice, being heard. This is the week to start taking those steps and making those steps towards what was shown to you and what you're intuitively being called to do. So make sure you embrace that. If you want our help, you know how to reach us. Please do. And we will see you tonight for Am I the Asshole? Two truths and two truths and a lie. It's called Too Real. So we're going to discuss 3 different stories. 1 is made up, 2 are real, and we're going to discuss if they were the asshole. And then at the end, we'll see if you're right and you can guess which one is not true. So come and join us at
Please.
it was a lot of fun.
And it's always fun because the stories are good. And that's all because my wife is finding amazing stories. And she's like, what do you think about these? I'm like, I don't want to know the story until we go live with it. So you catch me with my hamster wheel thinking like, wait a minute. I love that. I love that revenge, but that is really assholeish behavior, but I love it.
Exactly. Okay, so now we've gone up 2 hours. So I like how this was supposed to be shorter and it went longer. So this is awesome. I'm going to still work on getting this more streamlined. However, on that note, thank you
Because you're
everybody.
enjoying it. That's why I went long.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and come and join us tonight. And that will be only like a 45-minute video, and when we talk it, because we just go over the stories and they're just a lot of fun. So come and join us tonight, and we will see you again, same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Bye.